Hi, my name is Fitria Jelyta. I'm a journalist here. I'm an Indonesian journalist working for the Dutch news website nu.nl. Thank you so much for your presentation and for the contribution you made to voice Indonesian perspectives that has for a long time not been available here in the Netherlands and still isn't. My question is actually twofold. First of all, I'm very curious about, of course, I haven't read the book yet and I'm really looking forward to, but I'm very curious about whether or not the apartheid that Dutch colonization has caused in Indonesia is being spoken about in your works. Whether or not if it's in this book or maybe in later works or previous works, I would also like to know. Because in the Dutch telling of history, I for one grew up here in the Netherlands, it's very telling that this side of history is not at all known. It's being erased completely. That we as a nation were not allowed to have education. We were not allowed to speak Dutch. We were compared with monkeys and animals. Is this shown in your work at all? That's my first question. And the second one is, when I talk to Indonesians about our history, my Indonesian brothers and sisters in Indonesia, and I talk about how the Dutch people tell our history, claim it as their own, they say, okay, but it's already done. We already won. We already have a country. And you're here and you are doing very important work. How would you convince them to contribute in their own perspective and in their own discipline to spread the message of Indonesians and our history and our legacy? Thank you.
So who would like to respond to those two questions? One of these racial inequality, apartheid, both legal as well as social and political, and the other, basically ownership of history and co-ownership, perhaps, that is perhaps the basis of collaboration. So who would like to first kick off the response? Sukarelawan, diminta.
Well, actually, it was discussed quite lengthily in the presentation of Apriani and Anne van der Veer. They are really showing how the segregations of ethnicity or race is cost a lot, and that's because become the long durée route, historical route of a violence that was erupted during the period. And that's why, as my colleague Roel has described nicely, that our research really, seeing that whatever happening in this period is have very long route, and then that's why I think almost all the chapters mention it in one way or another about that. For the second question, if I can understand you correctly, at least we can really say that we tried to write a really critical history of our own. And that's really, if we can come to that level, then we can be a mature as a nation. So I think that's very important. And then to accept that, okay, aside from the glorious thing, aside that what we have learned in the school, there are many things that we need to also to know about what was happening on the ground, on the society, which is to many extent actually still alive in the memory of our people today. And if we don't provide them with this critical approach, it could be easily manipulated for certain political purposes.